think they're gonna react when we tell them they can't leave? Look, I know this sounds crazy, but none of you are safe here.
Whoa, what the hell is she talking about?
We are all in this thing together.
There are things around here that walk and talk just like us until they walk up to you and rip your guts out. There is no way out.
Oh, thank God we heard the screaming.
You picked a bad spot. I'm seeing a lot of people pushed to their edge. You ever wonder if maybe that's the point?
What is up, people? What is going on? Welcome back to another episode of From. Brian should be in here pretty soon. I'm pretty sure he's on his way home, trying to rush to get up in here, but it's all good. We're going to do it how we do it. I do have the Daredevil watch party after this, so make sure to check out for that too as well. Hey, Carla, how you doing? Thank you for popping in. Much appreciated. And we are doing episode 2 from season 2. And this episode, man, so in this episode, at least for me, and I can't wait to hear Brian, but I think there's a lot of things that happened with this Martin, this scene here that I have up on the screen that we haven't really discussed, and I can't wait to get into that. And a lot of theories that we have about this being maybe the past, future, present, I'm not sure yet. But Martin says something in this that has me thinking either one of two things. One is that he was there when Abby was shooting people. Either that, or two, another theory that I had, which was correct, is that he is, I don't want to say a reincarnation of Boyd, but he was the Boyd from the previous reincarnation. They're both Marines, right? So if this show is showing us what happens, during a reincarnation, it may be Boyd that ends up chained up in that room there, which would be mind-blowing if that happens. So it definitely will be interesting to see how they go along with that. But I'm kind of on the verge to think that maybe he was there when Abby was shooting people, right? Because it was a couple of years, and he said he's been in there for a few years, right? So he's talking to Boyd, and I wish I could play this because I would rather play it than to talk about it. But unfortunately, MGM, you need to do better, man. I don't understand what they are doing because some of my friends' streams, no copyright claim whatsoever. But then other ones will get claimed if I just show like a 10-minute or a 10-second clip of the show. So, but when the show was going on, like we did these breakdowns after every episode and never got claimed once. And all of a sudden now they're just claiming my videos and blocking it and stuff like that. So it's hard for me to actually show. Maybe I should take screenshots like Brian does, but man, that's just way too much to do. But I definitely feel like we got a lot of information over here just in this part alone. Right? There's not too much really else happened in this episode that I think, but I think we definitely got a clue as to Martin, right? So Boyd is trying to save him and they're having a conversation. He says, I'll carry you. He's talking about the talismans, which he found in the forest. And the first thing that Martin asked him, Boyd was so determined to save him. Yeah, he was. Boyd was determined to save him. And he didn't, right? He didn't get to save him. Martin actually dies, which I completely forgot. I forgot that Martin actually died, right? After he gave him the blood, he dies. But one of the first things that Martin asks him is like, are you from the town? And Boyd's like, I'm from the town. And he asked him how long has he been there. He said he's been there a few years. And then he tells Boyd that the town is just the tip of the iceberg. And I was like, so that confirms that, there's things that we haven't even seen yet or discussed yet, which the spider, right? I think the spider is definitely something that's a possibility, right? No telling what else, because when he's rushing Boyd to do what he's doing, he tells Boyd that they are coming, which we discussed last week. It's they. So he's not talking about the man in yellow. He's actually talking about something else, right? Since he's not talking about the man in yellow, he's saying they. And I don't think he's talking about the creatures either. So that's telling me that there is some other entity in this town. Now, this is season 2, and I think, well, at least I hope they didn't, but I think they may have decided to change up a few things, which if they do, I mean, as long as they do it right, I have no issues with it. But the way it was going, it was going to it was going to a point where it's like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see what kind of things are happening in the forest. I can't wait to see what's worse than those creatures. But then in season 3, we've seen the man in yellow, and the man in yellow is worse than the creatures. But is there something that's worse than the man in yellow? That's what I'm interested to know, right? Is there something that's worse than the man in yellow? I think there might be, right? I really do. But until they give us more hints to it, I kind of feel like they might have course corrected instead of talking about other things going on, that they decided just to make the big bad the man in yellow. So, but again, they seem to have known when they did the show, they seem to know where they're going and where it's ending, right? They just changed a lot of things in between. So this could all have been part of the plan anyways. And we're still going to get some crazy ass stuff in the forest, because I believe in another theory we had that Julie was a story walker, right? That Julie's a story walker, Eloise was a story walker. And I guess with them going through times and doing certain things, we may actually find out what's worse in the forest. Because there's something that dragged that tent, right? And it dragged the tent exactly to the lighthouse, to where I guess they weren't trying to go, but whatever it was trying to bring them to that spot for some reason. So I'm definitely interested to see what more is going on here, right? So it said they're coming, what's coming. And one thing that I noticed about this show, right, going back and watching it, and even though we do, so for one, Boyd never tells anybody about the dude he's seen here. Like, no, he tells nobody about Martin. And I'm just like, okay, so now I remember where some of my issues were. Now, it may be by design, but man, if I got back to the town, I'd have been like, yo, these motherfuckers pushed me through a tree, and I ended up somewhere with some dude chained up. He said his name was Martin, and I would have talked to somebody. But they don't talk. They don't say nothing. They don't give any information. And again, I guess it's by design, because they showed us what happened when they had the town hall. But even for him to have a conversation like that with Donna, you know what I mean? Like, he never even had this conversation with Donna. It's like things happen to them, and they forget about what happened the next day. So I think they need to do a better job of communication. That's for sure in this show, 100%. But he says they're coming. He asks us what's coming. He says there's darkness in the forest. I'm just going to mute it, and then I'm going to play a little bit of it, right? It is what it is. So he says there's darkness in the forest. Nightmares you can't even begin to imagine, right? So Boyd was already in the forest. He's seen the spider webs. He's seen the baby spiders. But did he see what was worse? No. So there's definitely something more. And I believe that when that last season hits, right, they're going to have to travel through the forest. And I think that's when we're really going to find out what, like, crazy. Because remember, it's a TV show, right? And when it comes to a TV show, you have budgets you have to worry about. So it's not like every episode is just going to be, oh my gosh, this big old spider or these kind of things in the forest. So it's going to be pretty much short, especially if it's not crucial to the main story. right? Which I think it is, but it isn't, right? It's something that you can explain and show why people are really scared to go further in the forest, or you know what I mean. We already know why they couldn't go that far is because they didn't have talisman, but now that boy does. It's so surprising that no one's ever tried that again. You know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, so wait, you got this far? What happens if we go further? You know? I mean, boy doesn't talk anyway, so how would they know that something stopped them unless he told somebody, you know? But anyways, that's neither here nor there, right? So he says there's nightmares you can't even begin to imagine. Things were never meant to see, which I want to know what they're never meant to see. I really hope they don't, because I a lot of the things that they've done, especially in season 2, 3, is they talked about, oh, we're going to capture one of these creatures, and then they never did it again. Like they never even brought that up again, right? So there's a lot of times where they talk about a threat and it doesn't go anywhere. This seemed to be too major of a part for them not to go anywhere with. So I really hope I get the chance to see where it goes, right? So he also says, you have to get out before the music stops. So we already know, like, if you've seen the season, we already know where the music and the stuff goes through. So I don't think that was anything that was like something hidden. I mean, there could be something with the music more going forward, but from what I heard, what the showrunners talked about is that they pretty much ended this arc, right? And I think a lot of people had a lot of issues with it. They weren't really fond of it. Now, we always talk about certain images and certain scenes that they show. He's looking at the the music box, right? And they show a reflection of him in the glass that's behind it. And when you talk about mirrors, I'm thinking that's showing that him and Martin, he's the mirror image of Martin. And I've said it many times that I think that Victor's family, or the Tabitha family, the Matthews, are a mirror image of Victor's family, right? So Victor ended up being locked there and his family died. Miranda, she died, but Eloise was the story walker. Victor is going to be Ethan. Eloise is going to be Julie. Then you have Tabitha, Miranda, and then you had Christopher, Jade. So when I say it's a mirror of things, I do believe that Boyd, not a reincarnation, but could be like the mirror, could be like this reincarnation's Martin. Either that, or like I said, Martin was there when Abby did the shooting, because let me go back to it. The kind of goes off on this one, you know what I mean, with Randall and stuff like that, which is more character development and drama, but I don't think you really learn anything from that, you know. So we have Martin again, and this is where he asks him, he says, you ever wonder if Abby was right? How do you know about Abby, right? How do you know what Abby did? Now, I know this is Fromville, where it's usually the creatures or the ghosts that show up. They know things, right? I don't think Martin's a ghost, obviously, because he gave his blood to Boyd. So again, how does he know this, right? Is it possible that, again, he was there when Abby was killing people? And I wanted to go back and, you know what? Let's see if we can go back and see, right? Just for kicks and giggles. Let's go back to season 1 and let's see if we can find that scene to where she's killing people and if we notice anything. I just don't remember which episode it would be, but let's see if we can find it. Let's see if we can find it. Okay, so yeah, it would actually be this episode, I believe. Okay, so now he's asking his mom, asking for help. Here we go. Here we go. So Boyd comes in. He hears gunfiring. Because I'm curious to see if maybe we see someone getting away. Right now, it's kind of fast and blurry, but you see a bunch of people running. Is it possible that Martin could be one of these people? Right? And that's how he knows that Abby thought it was a dream. Because when Boyd asked him how long he's been there a couple of years. I don't remember how many years this was from when the Matthews family came there, but I do believe it was a few years. So it would line up to where Martin tried to escape. He tried to run away from this and got caught by something in the forest, right? Because remember, at this time, I think they just got the talismans. He's just coming back with the talismans. So they don't really have any protection at this time. So Martin would run into the forest, right? And there's a good chance that he actually ran into the forest and ended up where he is. And he's been there for a few years. Because as you can see, as skinny as he is, he's not eating that well. If he's not eating at all, maybe they're feeding off of him. I would like to know how we get the worms in his blood, right? Because it seems like the worms are something that can kill the creatures, and it could be a weapon that we could go to further down the line, right? If that's the case. But at the same time, I'm just curious to know that if he happened to be at this spot. Let's see what we can figure out. See that guy that ran by the screen? Huh. Huh. What? Could Spoiler Kings with a $5 super chat. He said, thank you. He said, your partner shouldn't have been this late. Shaking my head. Yeah, I know, but we know. I'm guessing that's Tank, and thanks for the super chat, guys. I appreciate it. Or even if that is Brian, whichever one it is, I expect you to be late, brother. I sit in that back room sometimes and wait for like 5 or 10 minutes for you guys to pop in to your own stream. So for you to be early for mine, I don't know. I wasn't expecting that, but I definitely appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Hopefully he'll be in here soon. So this is a pretty good pause because you see this guy running through the screen right there. And I think he's the only one that you actually, you don't see him clearly, but that's, a focus point on Abby. Oh, he said it is Brian. Okay, it is Brian. No problem. I got you, Brian. I got you. Well, I mean, holding it down till you get here, brother. And I definitely want to hear your information on some of this stuff that we're talking about here because, I think we got something, So if I play it, it's just going to, it's hard to get the exact shot because it speeds by so fast, right? But that's the one guy that you really see. And it's obviously not him that got shot, right? And then you never see him again, right? He's gone. So, Donna is going crazy and stuff like that. And I'm looking to see if there's anybody else. And to me, it seems like that's the only guy that they show pretty clearly running through. So I have a feeling it could be Martin, right? It could be somebody that was there while Abby was doing her killings and doing this stuff. Or like I said, it could be, maybe not a reincarnated Boyd, but he was the Boyd in the previous reincarnation. Because the fact that they're both Marines, mm, you know, I know there was a theory that it could be Randall because I believe Randall was a Marine too. But at this point, I don't think it's Randall anymore. I don't think that's Randall anymore. Um, he knows. Now, here's the problem. He knows Julie, right? But I don't think he knows Julie because he was in the town. I think he knows Julie because it's not when we see Julie reach him, it's the first time that Julie had met him. But I think later episodes, she's going to go back in time and she's going to meet him again. And it's going to be before she actually comes there to throw the rope down to where I know it's complicated, right? It's like, wait a minute, how was it before? But we know it's time travel, right? So I think the next time she speaks to Martin, it's going to be before she went back and threw. So future, very future, Julie knows who Martin is, but the one that went back when she was doing the thing with Ethan doesn't, right? So is it a possibility that she goes back to the time when he shows the rope too? It's a possibility, but I doubt they're going to revisit that part. So I think the next time she sees Martin, it's going to be earlier, right? They're going to have a conversation. Maybe she sees him in the town, right? Maybe she comes back to this point, right? Maybe something happens where she has to come back to this point. Maybe she saves somebody. I don't know. It's just weird to me that again, and I think when you put the pieces together, he knew who Julie was, right? When she first got there, he said, Julie? So he knew where she was. Martin got there, Boyd got there. He didn't know who Boyd was, right? So that's the first time he's ever seen Boyd. So yeah, I'm thinking, I kind of get my own theories there. So if it's the first time you've seen Boyd, or maybe it isn't the first time you've seen Boyd, I don't know. Brian's here. What's up, Brian? How you doing, brother?
I was
Yeah, your mic's a little up and down.
no,
Okay.
it's only 6:30 here, and traffic was bad in Chicago. I apologize, guys. I blame Chicago traffic, not me. It's not the
Brother,
blackness. It's not the blackness, guys. It's not the blackness.
don't even worry about it because I know how traffic can be. So I definitely get that, especially here it's crazy. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this episode? I was going through some things and I was like,
I loved watching this episode, specifically with Martin and the words that he was saying. Oh my goodness. And made me really have a side eye at Victor. As we going through it, I was looking at Victor like, dude, how? What? This doesn't make any sense. But yeah, no. They try to distract you with the other bus with all those people. I also have a problem with Elgin.
Right away.
I'm sitting there looking at him like, I don't want to have a problem with him, but I'm looking at him. There are issues that I'm seeing. So I'm just saying there's some things up in this episode that are kind of like flashing lights to me.
So I went back to this episode, right? Because I was trying to theorize about Martin. And Martin says something where he's like, do you think Abby was right?
Yeah.
How do you know who Abby is?
But he doesn't know who Boyd is. That was
exactly
very weird.
Yes, I agree. But maybe, well, I don't think they're there this long. Maybe no, he would know who Boyd is. He would know, right?
He would, because Boyd was creating all these things, all these structures, how to keep people safe. He was doing all that. He was creating that stuff. So he should have actually known it.
Yeah, that's why at first I was like, maybe he was there when this happened, right? And I came across this scene. Let me go back real quick because they don't really show much of it, but Okay, so there's one guy that ran by, but I think he gets shot. Yeah, he gets shot. Right. And she gets shot too. But there's one guy that runs across the screen, like right in front of Abby. And I'm like, maybe that's him. But then to your point, it's like, well, then you would have known Boyd
You
when
should have
Boyd
known
got
Boyd.
there.
And
Right.
that's what made me think that actually he was maybe even the man in yellow's like disciple, or the man in yellow himself in disguise. Because he immediately died, but we know he didn't
Yes.
die like that. So what does that actually mean? Here's another thing. So you maybe you can answer it for me. So we all saw the last episode in season 3, with them playing the music on the violin, and then at the end of the music, when the music stopped, the man in yellow came out. Now, when the music is playing, Martin says, "Hey, Boyd, you have until this music stops till they get here." Okay. Now I go back to season 3, the last episode, episode 10. When the music stopped, we saw both the man in yellow and the boy in white. Both. So I'm just saying, is it possible that both the man in yellow and the boy in white are they?
Ooh.
And they're actually in cahoots, or it's a trinity of them. And there's a lot of little things that Martin said, but the fact that when the music stopped, he said, you have it to get out till the music stops.
And
So
then you're correct, because you have to ask yourself why, like, because what we know about these episodes is that the music had something to do with the cicadas and everything, right? That right?
And all that stuff, yeah.
Yes, but when he says the music stops, you have to get out, because when the music stopped, it was to break them out of the trance, right? When he destroys the music box, it breaks them out of the trance. So why is it that if the music stops, something else comes out worse? Maybe that's exactly what the point of this was to get them to destroy that music box, to get whatever worse was out there to come out.
I think anytime music is going, another element comes out, because he says there are things worse in the forest, in the dark, in the blackness of the forest. There's things worse, and we now know that the monsters that we see on a daily basis are not in the forest. They actually live under the town.
Facts.
So there's a lot of things out there. So I think there's multiple entities that are out there in the forest controlling all these things. So anytime the music stops, maybe it opens another, what's it called, like page or another barrier to let everything flood through.
Absolutely. Because my whole point is, and I think this is about bringing an evil into the world, right? And I've said it many times, I don't think the man in yellow is that evil.
They're seals. Just like it's over my there, you have to break, say there's 13 seals. And if you break these 13 seals open, all of a sudden hell is released on earth or something like that.
And I would more or less go with 14, because we have the 14 creatures, right? We have the 14 people. Well, in this episode, he says 20 to 25, but I think about 10 of them die. You know what I mean? So it ends up being like 14 that are left over. So there's a significant number with the number 14, 100%. You know, so
all the monsters, it should be 14 monsters. It should be that much all the time.
Yes, which represents, I guess, maybe, because obviously there's more than 14 people in the town, right? But there usually has to be a certain amount of number. Maybe the 14 people are the ones that are just bystanders, if you want to say, right? They're not really, a reincarnation, or they're not, because I think this, and another theory that I had with this was that if Martin wasn't there when Abby did that, then he is the mirror of Boyd,
or
right?
he's the voice that heard on the radio.
Ooh, instead of the man in yellow?
Instead of the man in yellow, he was the voice. Your wife shouldn't be digging there. How do you know?
Could be 100%. That's interesting. I was thinking more that, so I say that, Abby, not Abby, shit. Miranda, not Miranda. Oh my God.
Tabitha.
No, Julie and the Story
Oh,
Walker. Julia and Louise are
okay.
mirrors each other, right?
Yeah,
And
definitely.
Victor and Ethan are mirrors each other. So the Matthew
Mhm.
family pretty much mirrors. I think he might be the mirror of Boyd. The fact that he's a Marine, he's chained up there. And if we're actually seeing the way a reincarnation plays out, then it's going to end up with Boyd locked up in that room.
What I really wanted to see was the tattoo, the Marine tattoo, because there's been the tattoos have changed over the years. So I wanted to see if it was a specific one, maybe you could kind of narrow where this is. When was he there? So if we could find out like he was in the 80s or the 70s, like depending on that would tell us a lot about who Martin really is.
Absolutely. And which brought me to something he said, which was Semper Fi, right? So I was like, yeah, Semper Fi. And of course, that's a Marine, but that has been a motto that was established in 1883, right? So I was like, okay, so if that was so long, then maybe he has actually, been a Marine from like a previous reincarnation.
Yeah.
And that's why he's able to know, because if it's from 18, which I'm pretty sure he didn't reach there after 8 or before 1883. You know what I mean? So he's definitely, and he said he's been there for a few years. Right?
I started counting the years and stuff, and then when I think about so the Civil War happened in what year was that?
Hold on.
I know it's the 1861 to 65. So I'm just saying he could have been a Marine. He could have been part of the civil those Civil War people that are there. He could have been from that entity, that that whole part. And then something else he said, right? He said, "It's funny. I thought the town was the worst part."
Exactly.
But if this the town and the way the town looks very 60s, does the town change throughout throughout time? Did the Civil War people only have the cabins, and then as the time went on, did it all change again for it to be more of a 60s? So older houses, whatever, from like the 1960s for that whole entity. Does it change every time a generation changes? Does it expand and it's another part of the town? Because if it does, he can't be from the 1800s. He has to be from more recent.
Yes,
as you were saying before.
And you make absolutely a great point with that, which is something I don't think we really talked about. Is because if this town has been doing that for like centuries, that diner wouldn't have existed in the 1800s or whenever it started, right? That diner, the way the diner is, and then you have the musical jukebox as well, that wouldn't be there.
Exactly. So that whole time, that whole thing had to happen right before Victor got there, really. That's pretty much the time period of that.
Yes, 100%. The time period of the diner and the music box would be exactly Victor's time, about 1940s, around there.
1940s, between 40s and like 1965,
right,
somewhere around there. So is it every time there's an entity like Miranda? Is every time there's a reincarnation of Tabitha and Jade, the town changes? Not just the monsters, not just their clothes, but the town itself changes.
It definitely would make sense if that happened, right? So the first jukebox was coined and operated in 1889.
But it wouldn't be a diner. But it wouldn't have been a diner.
That too, and the picture of the jukebox is one like them huge jukeboxes, right? So with a record player and everything. Obviously,
it was like the sock hops from the milkshake diner and something like that. It's that type of era.
Yeah, because this is definitely more recent, as you can tell by you know, how small it is. It's on the table, right? The ones they show from 1800 are like these huge jukeboxes. So you can pretty much date at least the diner, right? You can pretty much at least date the diner, which would make sense because anything before that time wouldn't have a jukebox, wouldn't have a diner like that.
It wouldn't have a motel with lights and stuff like that that's lit up that way. It wasn't anything like that.
So would that confirm our kind of our theories that like when Victor came in there, you know, when we were saying maybe they have something, maybe they're not doing the story, but they're affecting it, right? It would make sense if Victor was affecting the story and then boom, we have that kind of a diner, right? And now Ethan is there. So Ethan is kind of affecting it a little bit differently as well. We haven't really seen the difference yet.
But we will see in episode 4,
Yes.
I mean, season 4, of how Ethan might be affecting the whole
Yes.
town overall.
I agree 100%. I agree. Maybe it has something to do with the missing motel, right?
Yep. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe that's something that Ethan was an effect of because that motel's not there, but there's a sign there, right? And it seems like a motel would be more along the lines of Ethan's time period. You know what I mean? Like that with the neon lights and everything. So yeah, I think that's
Route 66. That's what you'll see. You'll see hotels like that, motels like that.
Yes.
On Route 66. That's what you'll see.
Yes, 100%.
Which would be baby boomers, right? I mean, that would be, you know, 50s, 60s type of thing. Martin also talks about the faraway trees. He talks about, you know, how they're like nefarious, they're kind of diabolical. Like if you go in enough, you will get trapped. That's how they get you. That's how they find you.
Absolutely. Garrett, what's up, brother? He said, "What's up, guys? Just getting back from the store. Appreciate you popping in. Much respect. I think we kind of cooking tonight because this episode with Martin, I think, gave us some information. We just got to be able to put it all together. You know what I mean?"
It's this episode. This episode is special. I honestly believe that this was a really good special episode that did things that I didn't see coming and talked about a lot of things. Martin specifically gave you a lot of hints. And if you weren't listening, you weren't paying attention, going back and forth, looking at how what they told you from season 1 to season 2, you wouldn't know what was going on with Martin.
100%. And that's why I like doing this because now we get to really watch it in a way where we can be like, oh yeah, that kind of is in line with what happened in season 3. You know what I mean? He said was just bumping episode 4 recap. Oh, I appreciate it, brother. Thank you. I want to know what you thought about Elgin in this one. I'm definitely want to get into the
before I get to that, I want one more thing with boys. So Marge says, speaking of the monsters, he said they're just the tip of the spear.
Yeah.
You know, so after he's getting out of the well, he climbs out, all that stuff. He's talking about it. He's just, what does that mean? He's just the tip of the spear. So is it like specific? Like there's still the entire spear there. There's still more things to this whole thing. Are they just icing on the cake because you don't understand where you really are? What does that mean? They don't mean tip of the spear means that they really don't mean much. This is not the whole thing that you're looking at, and you're worried about them every day. And that means to me, maybe even the man in yellow might not be everything. He might be just another tool. And then there's more and more layers.
I agree with you 100%. I said that. I'm at this point, is the man in yellow really the big bad? Maybe there's something else. Maybe he's working for something else to bring an even deeper evil into the world, right? It's out in the forest.
Okay. Well, what about this? What about this? So we talked about. So what did we talk about? The town is just the beginning. We know that's just the tip. You know, the monster just the tip of the spear. The music box signals something is coming. And you know, the music stops. Did you notice that Martin changed? So they might not be a physical thing. They might be something that takes over his body, and he is just a vessel.
which would be the reason why they're keeping him alive,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they were keeping him alive for some reason, right? Usually when we start watching this show, like everybody's getting murked, everybody's dying. Why did they keep this one guy alive, right? What were they doing with him? Were they feeding off him? Were they using him as a vessel, as you said?
Because it's funny because after he gave Boyd the worms, whatever that is,
He
the stuff,
dies.
he dies. But did he die or did they just stop using him again?
And I completely forgot he died. I was like, oh yeah, he actually dies after giving the blood, right? Interesting. Garrett said the lost comparison is helping me more definitely is at play. Another dilemma, another Dharma initiative is happening in the From. The name of the organization might be different, but same focus. Forgotten knowledge is a heavy theme. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Said if what if Julie trapped him there? Ooh, you know what?
Before?
Yeah, because there is
or
definitely
Miranda, no, not Miranda,
Eloise,
yeah.
because there is definitely going to be more Julie and this guy interaction. And I was saying earlier that the next time Julie sees him, it's going to be future Julie, right? So she that's why she didn't remember him or know him when she went back in season 3, because there's going to be the Julie that does the story walking is going to end up going back further and seeing him, maybe having a conversation with him or something like that. Dharma Initiative copycats shaking my hand. They're the same showrunners, chill. They're not really copycats.
they did come up with the whole Dharma Initiative, so it's
yes,
okay for them to use it.
100%. We can definitely use this because we did it. We made it. You know what I mean? So that's good, though. That's good, Garrett. I like that. I like that really because remember when Julie reaches there, he says Julie, so he knows who Julie is. So that means either Julie had an interaction with him while he was still chained up, or she goes back and meets him before he even gets to this spot.
I like it.
You know what I mean? Which would definitely go in line to with maybe she has something to do with him getting trapped in there. Ooh. It might be Rendezvous' move, The Moving Company. Yeah, he knows
He
her.
definitely
Absolutely.
knows her. And the monsters also know Julie. So Julie's been around. There's too many instances we hear people that know Julie.
Absolutely. And that makes, you see, now we were always wondering, wait, how does this creature know Julie? Because the story walker Julie probably went back in time, possibly even met that dude before he became a creature. You know what I mean? I would have to say before, because
what if Martin chained himself?
Ooh, why would he do that though?
Because as soon as the music box stops, they continue to come in and use him as a vessel. So he chained himself to the wall to stop them from using them for the nefarious deeds.
Because to be honest with you, he didn't want to leave. He wanted to die.
Said, kill me. That's what he said.
Yeah,
kill me.
Yeah.
So you would have another vessel.
Absolutely. Damn near the whole town knows her. Yeah, pretty much.
So she came through the door.
But that reason why I think that is, and especially now, is because she is the story walker. So we're going to see in season 4 where she's going to continuously go back in time, right? And I think she's going to be the vessel for us learning what happened. You know what I mean? Because we're always going to have to follow someone to find out what happened before. She's going to be the vessel. She was the vessel to show us how Boyd got out of the cave, right? She's going to be the vessel to show us how Victor survived so long, right? Or even what happened with the Kui kids. Was she the one that actually gave the Kui kids hope? Yeah. So I think there's going to be a lot of that.
If the Kui kids turn into the trees that are moving, are there evil trees and good trees? Because the faraway trees they said they're nefarious, they're temperamental, They take them one place and they put you somewhere totally different. They split you up. They'll put you in walls. They're there to trap you. So are there good faraway trees and are there bad faraway trees, or are there good faraway trees and bad other trees?
That's a really good question. You know what I mean?
I mean, these are all the questions that came up from just this episode.
I could see there being bad trees. You know what I mean? Because nothing, Randall said it, like nothing in this town is here to help us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I still stick with that. If she is the story walker, what is Ethan, Victor? Are they the storytellers? Yes, yes, 100%.
Hey, what if Ethan is the storyteller, as in like verbally, and then Victor's the story writer, the illustrator, and they need to be together, and they need to put those pictures together we saw in season 1, once you or all those things that we saw in season 3, put them together, put the story together, and then all of a sudden we get the full understanding of what's going on there.
100%. Because I think we talked about that a few weeks ago, to where it was like, okay, so Victor as a child was there. He was there to write a certain or illustrate a certain part of the story. Then when Ethan came there, he didn't draw it out. He was telling the story, right? So he's the one to tell the story, and Victor was the one to draw the story. Now you just got to put pieces together. And Ethan already told that when he showed the pictures. He said, oh, it's a story, but we got to put the story together. So that's what it's about, putting the story together, you know? That's ill. My ninja. Facts. Facts, brother. Yo, listen, the way we've been breaking it down, there's so much things that they can do. If they even do 1 or 2 of the things, it's going to be fire. You know what I mean?
And then we got one more thing with Mars. So he says he grabs, we know he grabs Boyd and he says, my blood is now your blood. So if Martin is being used, is it possible when at the music stopped and something came into him, could it have been the boy in white jumping into him as like a spirit and actually helping him by giving him a way to kill the monster?
Ooh, I would definitely believe that there is something, because if there's something feeding off him, they're not going to give him something that's going to be able to kill them.
Exactly.
Right?
So it had to be someone that's trying to do something for a reason.
Yes. Someone that gave him those snakes in his body, or those worms. I agree with you. I think, again, it goes to the manipulation, right? And we've said this many times, that the boy in white might not be all good, right? He may have good intentions, but his intentions are for something else. Yeah, absolutely.
Is anybody a weaver of sorts and from that weaves the story together? Is that Victor? I don't know. So here's another thing. So we saw when Boyd noticed all the worms in his arm. Victor also saw it then. And he said like it was something like he's seen before, because he didn't ask Boyd what was that. It was almost like he's seen it before. Like he had more information to give.
And it was this scene here, like the first scene where Boyd sees the worms in his, like, this is the first time he sees them, right? As he's starting to walk out. And Victor is like right there. Right? He sees the worms. There's Victor.
And Victor's looking at him, yeah. So he's looking at him, he's like, whoa. But it's almost like he has more information. He didn't tell anybody, he didn't ask Boyd anything about it. He just went with Boyd. Like he knows there's something going on with Victor, because Victor knows too much about what's going on. How does he know that the monsters they sleep underneath the ground? How did he know that's where they live?
Absolutely.
You know, how did he draw all those other drawings in that truck that's right outside the lair of the monsters? He had a lot of drawings, like he's been there before. So for him to remember, it doesn't make sense for him to still be that okay. Something's going on with him. He is not. I don't think Victor's a good guy. I don't think he remembers being a bad guy or not. I think he's helped them. He's helping them.
He might be, because when he first gets in the truck, he says there's no emblem. You mean to tell me the creatures never decided to look in that truck once? Ever?
Nope.
You know what I mean? I don't buy that.
That's Victor's plot. We'll let him go.
Yeah, exactly. They must have caught him in there one time. You know what I mean? And been like, okay, now we know. Because after that, they never go into that truck, right? And it's only when they're chasing Elgin do they come to the truck. You know what I mean?
Would anyone be surprised if all of a sudden we find out Victor's a familiar for all the monsters?
Not at all.
No one would be surprised, right? It's like, oh yeah, he had to be there somehow. He had to not die somehow. He's a familiar.
I would love that twist, though. You know what I mean? I would love that twist if Victor or something like that. He said, "Is it Elgin? That would suck." Yeah, 100% it would suck.
I don't want it to be Elgin.
Yeah, 100% it would suck. We already know about Elgin and we ain't feeling him. Brian, what did you think about Elgin? You have something to say about him?
Once again, he comes in and Victor tells you, I don't trust him.
Facts.
Now, if Victor is evil, that means Elgin could be good. If Victor is good, that means Elgin is evil. We don't know what side the coin is, but I think wherever Victor is will tell you that Elgin is the exact opposite. So if Victor is really trying to help somebody, Elgin is the exact opposite. We'll find out what 100%. Yeah, we're gonna find out a lot more about Elgin, not just our bias or anything we look at it. We'll know more about him this next season. Because we find out Victor's bad, we'll know that Elgin actually was misunderstood.
So yeah, okay, wait. So let's go on with the Victor's bad part, right? That would mean that Elgin was right in doing what he did with Fatima. I don't want to give him that credit.
I don't want it either. But it would mean that if Victor's bad, it means that Elgin would have been right the whole time.
And what if, right? Because we said what he did, but what if they needed Smiley to come back? They need to have all of the demons alive for them to kill them out. You know what I mean? Or yeah, exactly. And they need to have all of them alive. But again, then that would be saying,
I don't want it.
You know, you know what I mean? Because it would be the Kimona lady that did that, and we don't think the Kimona lady's good, right?
But what if the monsters, we find out the monsters, all they really want is to get out too?
That could be possible.
So like all this story could be totally changing up just by a few things. Like they're trying to get out too, but they can't. They're still monsters.
Yeah, they can't.
They have to do their job, but if they have a choice, they don't eat Boyd, right?
Boy, because you were bringing up okay, so let's say this, right? Now I get it. Sacrificing your kids is fucked up. I get it, right? But does that mean you're that evil person? Like maybe, again, when you're in a cult, right? Someone is thinking for you. You're not thinking properly. You're following this cult-like mentality, right? So
they could have had a mistake. It could have been a mistake. They realized and they learned from it, but they can't get out because they're already trapped in there. But just like the boy in white could have done something bad, and he's trapped in there. But they all want to get out. That's why they're just a tip. They're nothing. They're not the thinker. They would like to be released too. They're souls that want to be left to be able to go on and move on too.
You know what? Let's go back to Simp, right? What is the first thing she says to him when I wasn't always like this, when she was looking in the mirror? So it kind of makes me think that, like you said, they may not want to do what they are doing, but they are bound. Now, some of them look like they do want to do it, right? Some
Smiley
of them look like
Smiley
and the cowboy dude, they enjoy the shit that they're doing 100%.
Come on now, you feel a lot better.
Facts. You know what I mean? They enjoy it, but it could be definitely a possibility where some of them don't, right? Some of them want to get their souls free. Some of them want to survive, and if you really think about it, yeah, it would kind of make sense that they all need to be alive for them to souls to get released or them to die or actually die. You know what I mean? Because I think that's probably what will happen. It's not, they'll die and their souls will be released. So, I agree with that. I just don't want to give Elgin that credit.
I don't want it either, but it's possible that at the end of the day, we're gonna find out that Elgin was actually right and he was actually good, or he made a mistake, but he was a good overall soul. And you think about his dream tells us a lot of stuff. He knew, but he has a connection to this place. His dream means he has a connection to the place. You know,
I hate you, Brian.
he has the same visions of Jade. I'm just saying, you know, he had his seizure.
Mm-hmm. I hate you, Brian.
Saying,
because now that I'm thinking about it, right? Listen, we hated Sarah. And they turned her around, right?
Yep.
So I have a feeling that we're gonna find out, especially Elgin. Like when he came in there, he looked like this little innocent, kid, and you know what I mean? And now it's like, even when he was doing what he was doing, he still had a naive. He was still naive, but still had had an innocent to him. You know what I mean?
And then what if we find out that everyone is actually being possessed? Just like we saw with Martin, at the end of the music, they come out and they can possess you. And the purer you are, you're easier to manipulate.
Possess. I agree. I 100% agree with that. And I think they gave us a hint of that when she put that piece together and started hearing the voices, right? Again.
Yep.
So that shows me that they can possess things. Why would they not be able to possess people? Ugh.
Yeah.
Damn.
Don't like it at all.
You know what I mean? Because the way it's going down, I may have to come on here one day and do a stream and be like, you know what? Elgin was right.
We're not going to let Elgin to the barbecue, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Slide him a plate. We might end up having to slide him a
plate. Give him a plate or two. You know what I mean. Make sure you get some nice cornbread on that plate and everything. Exactly. Yeah. Damn.
We're like, sorry.
Yeah, you always bring up some crap to make me think, brother, and I'm just like, because I can't see them. Now that you really bring it up, I can't see them making Elgin like just this evil guy where everybody thinks he's evil for the rest of the series.
We're just gonna find out he made a mistake and he's gonna repent. He's not even gonna hate Sarah.
Fuck.
Yeah. So let's go over the monsters that we know so far, right?
Go ahead.
So we have the overall monsters, right? Mm-hmm. Then we have the spiders from the spider webs. That's one of the monsters, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
The skin worms could be one of the monsters.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we've seen whatever dragged them to the lighthouse could be out there because they're out there with the rest of the monsters, and then the man in yellow.
Mm-hmm.
So we've seen a lot of different things, and I think there's more to each one of them. So we might know a little bit more about the monsters coming out at night, but we don't know anything else about the rest of them.
Absolutely, and it would make sense as to why it's not a good idea to be traveling in this town, like going in the woods and trying to go as far as you can into the woods, because sooner or later they're gonna have to try and get to that lighthouse. There's a reason for that lighthouse, so they're gonna have to try and get to that lighthouse. And I think that's where we're gonna find out what's the deep
and
forest.
All of them are shapeshifters.
Facts. Yeah, I could see that. I could see the creatures out there. You mean the man in black? Yeah, same thing. Absolutely.
It is literally the same thing.
Absolutely. Chill. We got the man in yellow. We got the man in black, right? We got Jacob, who is pretty much like the boy in white. We have a town that you can't get out of, which is like the island. Trust me. There's time travel in it, just like there was in Lost. I tell you, bro, the showrunners are like, no, this is nothing like Lost. But when I sit down and watch it, I'm like, motherfucker, this is Lost.
It's exactly like Lost.
This is Lost. And I still haven't did it yet, but down to like when they show previously on Lost, right? When the fucking music is the exact same. Trust me, it's the same when I tell you. Like maybe little variations, but it's the same. The hatch, exactly.
You're safe where you're safe. Like it's so much. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. They took a lot, and that's why I always go back to Lost, because I'm like, it may not be the exact same, but I have a feeling that there's things in Lost that they're going to do. Right. That's why I called the time travel that week, because I was watching Lost and I was like, you know what? I think there's going to be some elements of time travel. Next 2 weeks, 2 episodes later, time travel. And I was like, oh, okay. So I see what you guys are doing here. You're just trying to throw us off. You're trying to make us think it's not like Lost, but it's exactly Lost. I wouldn't even surprise me if they find some way to connect it to Lost. You know what I mean?
I mean, there's so much here that's so much like it.
Yeah, I agree. The real name shouldn't be From. Call it Hidden or Unfound.
Missing.
Or Missing.
But
Here's
remember,
the
From
thing.
wasn't the original name.
Yeah. And here's the thing. And they don't say it, but there's a reason why they called it From.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And maybe we'll find out. Maybe that's a secret that they'll never tell us, and they'll try and make us figure it out, because I think that's what
where
they'll do.
are the monsters
from? Yeah. Exactly, because there's a reason why they called it that. So, I got
another question.
Go ahead.
Quick. Where the hell is Sarah?
Sarah?
Right now.
Oh yeah. Good point.
I was just thinking about it. Like, she's boy went to the tree.
Mm-hmm.
Where is Sarah?
I remember, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was the last episode when they go through the tree. She comes out of the cellar.
So where is she? How's she hiding?
Because she wouldn't have went back to town. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where is Sarah? Huh? And they never tell us, do they?
I don't think we ever hear exactly what she did. How did she got away with this?
So what's your theory?
I'm not sure if I trust any of them that have done the town's bidding. Anyone who has been, I don't know if it was who's been possessed. They've all, like, I don't trust any of them. So I wonder what they really are. To a point is the reason why they brought Marie out, whatever. The reason why they brought her out is because Christy's going to trust her implicitly, and then we're going to find out that all of them that were doing it either are part of that possession. Ooh. Except for Julie, who's now a story walker, but all of them are part. And then Christy's going to have to make a choice.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to probably have to kill her. I think Christy's going to have to kill Marie.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh. That would be interesting. Why do you think she's going to have to do it, though?
Because I think she had a really good connection with Kenny, and I think that she was getting too happy, and that's why the town brought her fiance there, just to cause her more pain. Because ever since she's been there, what's happened? She's had nothing but pain.
I agree.
All the stuff that's happened to her, all the things that happened to her leg and her foot, all emotional damage, the damage of everything that happened that she built with Kenny before, all she's brought her was pain. I think that's what she's supposed to be there. She's there for pain.
You know what? That would make a lot of sense, because this town gives you hope, which her hope was getting her back, and then the pain would be to take her away, right? And I think we already
ruined the Kenny thing. So like she had this choice before we had, is it my ex-fiance or is it Kenny? I love both of them. I think I could be with either one of them. So what did the town do? Destroy both.
And I was just about to say that, right? Because even though you would think that she might confide in Kenny, she's still going to be in a way that maybe, I don't want to be in a relationship. You know what I mean? I don't want to watch someone I love get hurt or killed again. Oof. That's interesting.
I see it. I'm telling you. And because you start thinking about why they have these relationships. We focus on a lot of relationships in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that we saw between. It was the first time we really saw Victor with Tabitha.
Yeah,
who really are a very mother-son type of relationship because of what happened with Miranda. Like, the first time we start to see that in him even opening up and talking about his mother only with Tabitha while she's there in the truck with him.
I agree.
That was the first thing.
Mhm.
We're starting to see how important Jim was to Julie.
Yeah,
How distraught,
absolutely. Yeah.
destroyed she was, thinking
Mhm.
that her dad is out there still.
Mhm.
And how he affected
100%.
her. When you really start to break these things down, you're like, wow, this
I
is intense.
I caught that too. When I saw these episodes, I'm like, this is exactly how she is going to act when she finds out in season 4, right?
Mhm.
When present Julie, because we know there's future Julie, and I'm curious to know what's going to happen to future Julie, right? If she's going to end up disappearing, or you know what I mean, or I'm curious to know what's going to happen to her. I don't think she's going to stay in that time period to have 2 Julies there, right? So I don't think that, but you are right. This episode definitely foreshadowed what we're getting from Julie in season 4. Not to
Mhm.
mention the fact that she's always going to remember that her father told her you got to be strong,
Yep.
right? When he thought he was gonna probably not gonna make it, he told her you got to be strong.
So if we're talking about Julie put the seed into the Cooey kids, right? And Cooey
Hmm.
kids, and it was Jim that put the seed into her.
Absolutely. Agreed.
So
100%. She's going to mourn, she's going to be sad, but now that she knows what she can do, even though Ethan told her she can't change anything, she's still going to try.
she's going to
And
try it
that's,
all the
yeah,
time. And then we're going to realize that it was never her changing anything. This was already happening in the storyline. So it's
yes,
not about her thinking that she's changing anything. It's just that I need to do what I'm going to do because I might have already done it.
it absolutely 100%. And I believe early on she's going to realize that she can't change anything, right? But she's going to keep trying, she's going to keep trying, and she's going to be like, I don't care, I'm still going to try. And that's when she's going to reach her father and be like, oh, you got to run, you got to run. And
Mhm.
unfortunately nothing changes, right? But at least it's the warning that's
Because
there.
Jim was always destined to die, no matter
Yes,
what. If it was the house falling on him, whatever, or the truck flipping over, what Jim was always destined to die.
100%.
And
And
we might even find out that all those other instances where he almost died,
mhm.
someone saved him, and it was Julie.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a
Like,
possibility.
think about what Tom has those monsters on him, right?
Hmm.
Jim was right there.
I know, that's what I said.
So
That's
how
what
we
I
never saw
said.
what happened. We don't know
Facts.
how he was saved. And the first thing he says when he's waking up, I don't even know if it's possible that he didn't hear Julie calling his name. Dad,
Hmm.
dad. He said
Hmm.
Julie because that's the last thing that he saw.
Yeah.
Something happened that Julie saved him. And he might have thought that was a
Ooh,
dream.
I like
I'm
that.
just saying this thing goes deeper. It's not
No,
over.
I definitely like that, right? Maybe she found a way, or she knew how the creature was going to get in there. You know what I mean? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously it's not through the top of the house. So she would have to come from under. And we already know that by the time the house collapsed, Jim already seen that there was a cavern down there. So it would make sense that if Julie goes back in time to a certain point, she's going to go back in time to a certain point to where the house fell down.
It could be
I
even
like
something
that.
like Julie finds out a way to kill the monsters, right? And then
Hmm.
she's going through all these time periods. She doesn't know how to control it yet, but she goes back to that time period and she's like, okay. And she's out there looking at her dad's like, so who's gonna save him? Who's gonna save him? And she's gonna realize that she's the one who's gonna save him.
Absolutely.
Not even kill the
100%.
monster, but just drive him away. But
Away.
we've never talked about how did Jim survive? The monster's able to get
Facts.
under there. If he got the time and pull him out, why wouldn't he be able to get to Jim? He saw
Facts.
him.
Yeah, Jim was right there. Jim, yeah, and I said that to him, like, yo, Jim is right there. Like, how does he not die? You know what I mean? And it makes
Mhm.
sense now that yes, Julie probably could have done anything, made a noise, right? To make the creature distracted and go chase her instead, right? And since she's a story walker, she just fucking slip away, boom,
She
disappear, boom.
runs away, whatever, because you see all the monsters going back towards Boyd, right? Going back
Hmm.
away. So why did all the monsters leaving the town?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just saying, like I think Julie would this might even be it might be a season that there's you see Julie just going in between stories,
I
going
agree.
through. It's the end of the beginning, and then it's the beginning of the end, and we might see Julie just going through. This is how these things happen. And
Absolutely.
Julie just
I
doing
agree.
all these things throughout the whole
Mhm.
time.
I agree with that 100% because I believe that little scene that we seen where she gives him the rope is, what's to come in the
It's
future.
foreshadowing. It's foreshadowing what she's doing.
Exactly. Yeah. Foreshadowing that she's going to end up going there. She's going to not change things, but doing what she was
She's
supposed to
already
do.
doing. Yeah,
She's
exactly.
already done. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep.
Because what they say is whatever happens, happens. Right?
Yep.
So I definitely can see that. Ooh.
And then she's gonna say, well, "I not changed the story. Maybe I already saved the day," and that's what keeps her going.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Right? Because again, she'll probably get to that point and realize that, you know what, I didn't save my dad, but maybe I can save everybody else. And she's going to continue to be going back. Or maybe she had already went back. She went to the future and seen certain things and realized that, okay, I got to keep doing these things because this is how they're going to stop the creature. You know what I mean? And we'll probably find out that Eloise, who was supposed to do that, probably stopped doing it after her mom died.
Yep. Oh, now
We
after
may
she realized she couldn't save her mom.
save her mom from dying, yes. And she's probably been trying and trying and trying and could not save her mom. And ooh, that's good. That's why she's still locked up in time. Maybe she's not lost. Maybe she
Or she
just
just
keeps
stopped
trying to save
tired.
her mom. You know what I mean?
What?
Yeah.
Or she's just tired. She's like, I can't do it. I couldn't do it. So
Mhm.
I just stopped doing it. But Julie has the last words, Jim's last words. Be
Be
strong.
strong. Yeah, absolutely. Because Miranda, uh,
Just
Eloise didn't have Henry there, right?
exactly.
Henry was gone. And if Henry had been there, he would have probably been the one to die instead of um, Miranda.
Miranda. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think that she has such a connection with Jim. I think Jim had to go through all the trials and tribulations that he did. Because at the end of the day, she trusted him more than she trusted anyone else. She
Agree.
loved him more than she loved anyone else. It's not just about her mom. She loved her mom. She definitely loved her mom,
Mhm.
but the connection wasn't with her mom. The connection was with her dad. Because
Mhm.
when all the chips were down and she was in trouble, who's the one man that'll do whatever for her?
Her dad.
Her dad.
Absolutely. 100%. You know what I mean? I agree. And I know, like you said, she it's not that she don't love her mom, right? But at the same time, that's my dad. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
he's been there for me constantly.
When
And
you
all
were
yeah,
out,
so
when you got out, dad was still here.
100%.
When I
And
needed saving, he ran to me. He didn't care. He put himself at risk. He does not care. He's going to save me no matter what.
facts. And we know again, we know that they are pretty much the chosen kids because they were both born at night,
Mhm.
right? So they're definitely good. Ethan and Julie are probably going to be like the saviors going through
Oh,
that, right?
100%.
You know what I
Those are the
mean?
ones. Mhm.
Yeah. The way that it's going, it seems to me like you always think that, oh, it's gonna be Boyd that's gonna save everybody. Nah, it's gonna be Julie and Ethan, the two kids.
You know who and this is kind of weird. The only person who did not meet Boyd through all this stuff was also in this episode too.
Mhm.
Rick never met Boyd.
Yeah. Yeah.
We didn't
Mhm.
see his body get torn up like we saw Tom's.
For real. For real.
Just wondering, oh, he's dead. He's dead. But how come we didn't see the body? How come we didn't see anything when he was pulled out?
Mhm. Not to mention, so because he was dead, the creatures didn't mess with the body. You know what I
Possibly.
mean?
Or they dragged the body because he didn't Jim actually didn't say, let's go back and get Brick's body. Let's bury Brick's. No, he didn't say that.
Yeah, I know.
So it's
Yeah.
like, where did Brick go? Just wondering.
And we never seen the body either, right? When they dug him out.
Yep.
Dang. So what's your theory? What do you think?
He's the only person that would not know who Boyd is.
Oh shit. Oh yeah.
because Boyd wasn't in the town when he was there when they pulled up.
Oh yeah.
And
That's a
he's the
good
only
point.
one who didn't die by being destroyed.
That's a good
Is it
point.
possible that you don't die in this town like that? That's not how people die in natural causes or any of that stuff. That's why we saw Tilly, who had all this cancer. She didn't die from that. She got died from the things in her heart.
Facts.
You know, so I'm wondering that could be something because he'll be the only one that wouldn't know.
That never met Boyd, which would
Mhm.
make sense because if again, I said, and I said this last week that Boyd was the present, Julie came from the past, which would probably mean that what's his name is there from the future,
Martin
right?
could be, yeah. Martin could
Yeah, yeah. So that would be interesting. I definitely think I could see that happening because when Boyd got there, he went to the future. You know what I mean? And he's been there a long time. He doesn't know who Boyd is. Does he know Julie?
He knew
They
Julie
can
when she came out.
yeah, they can explain Julie. They can
And he
explain Julie.
would know Julie because Julie was actually there when her dad help my
Was
dad.
trying. Yeah.
Help. Hey guys, we got a woman trapped in the house. Help. And they wouldn't go helped.
Yeah, 100%. And they can explain a lot as to why he knows it's Abby. Maybe it wasn't Abby. Maybe it was him that was saying those things, pretending to be Abby. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, like you said, if people are possessed, maybe he was the one that possessed Abby.
Yeah, and then the catacombs. I still have a problem with Victor. I know he's still right there. Him knowing to be able to get out of the catacombs. The fact he's been there so many times, but the fact that he kept on pretending like I'm so scared, and then getting up and just walking again. It's like he was trying to waste time, like he was trying to prolong this.
That would be crazy to find out that Victor is the bad guy. I think that would be a really good twist.
Mm-hmm.
It would definitely be something that'd be like, oh, right. And we find out that even though he's been there and he acts like a kid now, he doesn't really act like
he doesn't really do that. Exactly.
Yeah.
He's just pretending. And they taught him how to do all these things. And everyone's thinking Ethan is the man in yellow, but what if Victor's working with the man in yellow? He already knew about him. What is Victor? All the stuff is Victor.
That would make sense. It would make sense 100%, right? And it would explain to why Ethan has the part of the story that's the end. Victor was the beginning. So Ethan knows the end, and Victor friended Ethan because he knows that Ethan is there to create the end, but he doesn't know how it ends. And he wants to find out from Ethan how it ends.
There's so many years of Victor's life that we don't know about still.
100%.
So the time between he's 12 and between he's like 38, we have no idea. So we don't know if he has a special connection with the monsters. We don't know if he has a special connection with the man in yellow himself. You don't know who he sees as raised him.
What the fuck was he eating all those times?
How did he eat all those damn peaches?
Exactly, right? Because we know Boyd was the one that found the goats and the chickens and everything, right? So Victor didn't know about them. So what was he eating all that time? Like, how did Victor survive so long? Now, we do to say Julie maybe came back and helped him, but she didn't stay there the whole time. I'm pretty sure she didn't stay there for 12 years. I mean,
Julie didn't go shopping and say, hey, let's go shopping. Let me bring you some stuff. I'm just telling you, there's more to Victor. And Victor is the easiest way for them to kind of say someone who is the overall, like, quote unquote, mole. The one right in your face, the one in plain sight.
I like that. I definitely like that. Now, I know we've always said the town doesn't really need a mole, but at the same time, it would make sense if they had someone on the inside. You know what I mean?
That's always been there. That knew the monster was about to break into the house. That was their plan.
Yes.
Hey, save Julie because we need Julie somehow.
Yes, 100%. And it would make sense because it's like, okay, so we need to know how this ends. The only way to know how it end would be to friend Ethan because that's who he friended with, right? That's who he was telling most of the stuff with, right? And then he got close to Tabitha because, of course, the reincarnation of the mom and everything like that. But I don't even think he felt that. I think it was just Tabitha that felt it, right? I don't know if Victor felt that same thing that she did. So Victor may not even know.
Nope.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I think something could be with Victor. It just makes sense that he's the guy that all this stuff. We all fall in love with Victor and think that he's so great. He's like a little childlike. And he's been fooling us all, and we're all wrong. And then you're gonna look back and be like, we should have saw this dude. How the hell did he do this? How the hell did he do this? It's all right in front of our face.
Facts. And I do have a feeling that this show is going to do a lot of those okie dokes, you know what I mean? Where people who we think are good are bad, people who we think are bad are good. They already started with Randall, right? They already started with Randall. As much as Randall was a dick, he was still on point to help people when he had the chance, right? And I believe he's gonna go. Well, again, I think they're gonna have that little divide of the town, but I think he's actually gonna start doing things to help people instead of just being a selfish, for himself.
It's selfish and a terrible person he's been. He's always helped people.
Right.
He really has. I mean, he was in the house. He was just at the top of the house. He was able to get from under the rubble.
Absolutely.
He thought Donna was the bad person. That's why he grabbed the gun and challenged her. He thought she was doing this stuff, so he was trying to do it for everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny too because even in this episode, you can't blame none of these people for what they did because I'm like these people are crazy. What the hell are you talking about? Creatures that come out at night and shit like that. You know what I mean? So yeah. But again, once you start hearing the screaming and shit, then at that point it'd be like, okay, there's something going on here.
We wouldn't have gone outside. We're like, well, I mean, gun or not, I ain't going outside now.
Facts. 100%.
Wolves back there. I ain't going out there. Forget that.
Facts. We already know that's some white people ish, right? So they want to go into the battle. You know what I mean? We trying to run
What's that
from
sound?
it.
Let's go
check it out.
Let's not. How about you go?
Yeah.
Let me know how it was.
Facts. I'm gonna stay here. You guys tell me what's up. I'm gonna chill. I think I'm safe here. You know what I mean? We got talismans in this place, and they protecting us from people coming in here. So I'm gonna sit right here, and you guys go and investigate and do whatever you want to do, right? Because it kind of shows even when Acosta got there, she was trigger happy, just shooting up everything. You know what I mean? So yeah.
What happens if they realize all they do is patch up the tires in that big old bus and use the bus to travel throughout the town or through the woods?
They could. You know what? That's a good point. Would there be a big enough path through the woods for that bus? Maybe, but that's a good point, right? Because you could put a talisman in that bus and you can drive anywhere you want to drive.
Yep. And then in the morning, we're safe.
Absolutely. I would take like maybe 3 or 4 cars and I'll try and push that tree out the way, hop on the bus, and try and drive off with the bus. You know what I mean? Because who knows what? Yeah. Or you know what? Even to the point I'd be like, you know what? I'm gonna climb over this tree. Fuck it, I'll walk. You know what I mean? Just give me one of these talismans here in a tent just in case. But I'm gonna jump over this tree and I'm gonna walk. See where it takes
red light,
me.
green light is so hard.
Facts, bro.
In the box. Talisman.
Out the box. Thank you. 100%. Because we don't know what happens after that tree. Maybe that's the way out. Seems like it would be. It figures why they would put a tree in there. But something else I noticed too, and I'm glad you brought up the tree and everything. When Mari was talking to Christy, she said you were less than 2 hours away.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like she was like, you were less than 2 hours away. So where the hell is this town? That's the question. Because some people come from different places. She's 2 hours away, right? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's weird.
I think somehow it's in Canada somewhere.
Look
It's in
at this
Canada.
guy.
I'm just telling you, we talking about it'll be more smog if it was in the United States. It'd be more smog. Wouldn't be as beautiful. You wouldn't be able to do none of that stuff, man.
It would make sense if it's Canada because we'd have a bunch of Americans that were trying to reform. You know what I mean? Because they said they all had some sort of issues before they got to the town, right? So
I'm just saying that you guys got trees. We got trees in California. That's it.
We do. Yeah, we do.
We don't have to, our trees are like half dead. I'm just telling you, makes more sense for it to be Canada.
100%. I agree with you. 100%. You know, what better way to deal with America than trapping them in a town with some creatures that kill them? Yeah, 100%. I agree. I agree. You got anything else for this episode, brother?
No, just had a good time with it. I think it had a lot of information, and we learned. Martin really helped us out a lot, and he's key. He's a key character.
I agree 100%, and I like the fact that we're gonna get more information from him or for him or whatever, in maybe the next season. Because I know you said you think that that's probably the last season. I think 5.
I think 5. Right? No, I think 4 is going to give us a lot of answers, and 5 is going to be them, or they know what to do. Now can they do it?
Yeah, I agree. I think 5 seasons probably going to be the last one. But yeah, I don't have really much anything else for this episode. This was a good episode. Again, I don't understand a lot of the hate for season 2, but I enjoy it. You know what I mean?
It was good. It was story building. Without the rest of those characters, it would have been boring.
Absolutely, 100%. And a show like this, you could do a lot of stuff. Like, you could do all kinds of different crazy stuff as long as you know that it's going to end up in the same place. You know what I mean? And I think that's why people kind of like, oh, this is about the music box and this and that and the cicadas and all of that. But not just that, but you got to read between the lines, because even though that's going on, that's to keep you from seeing what really going on. You know what I mean? Yeah, let's watch all this stuff while in the background, this is what's going on. This is what we're hiding from it. So definitely a good episode. We will be back again for episode 3 next week. Yes. About a half an hour, we will be watching Law and Order, Born Again.
Law and Order.
So make sure to check out that watch party. Hopefully it's going to be a better episode than it was last week, but I have my doubts.
I'm not sure yet. I think what's going to happen is we're going to get some more Punisher. We'll get that, and he's going to slap around Matt Murdock and tell him, get back in that damn cow.
Absolutely. And we'll probably get some action this episode. And I know, I can hear Danny now. Oh, you see, you guys got the action that you wanted. Yeah, but is it good? You know what I mean? Like, okay, yeah, we got some action, but
I'm still not sure.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So make sure to check that out. Guys, I appreciate y'all coming in. Much appreciated. Chillmonger was in the house. I thank you for coming up. Tamika Den was up in here too as well. We had Carla in the house as well. Garrett was in the house, so I appreciate you guys popping in and hanging out with us. It's always a pleasure. Make sure to check us out next week when we're back with episode 3. Brian, tell the people where they can find you, sir.
And 1/3 of Spoiler Kings. You're going to see me on Mondays and Thursdays at 9:30 to midnight. On Saturday, we've been breaking down Severance. I can't wait to do that finale. We might have another show to do on Saturdays. And you're going to find me here on Tuesday.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you will see me over there on the Severance watch party and then the breakdown on Saturday. So, we always trying to collaborate and stuff like that. It's always a pleasure. And we'll be back next week, guys. Peace.
some problems.
Oh, shit. How do you think they're gonna react when we tell them they can't leave? Look, I know this sounds crazy, but none of you are safe here.
Whoa, what the hell is she talking about?
We are all in this thing together.
There are things around here that walk and talk just like us until they walk up to you and rip your guts out. There is no way out.
Oh, thank God we heard the screaming.
You picked a bad spot.
I'm seeing a lot of people pushed to their edge. You ever wonder if maybe that's the point?